Hey, how you doing? We're going to make a really short video regarding some vocabulary as it relates to westward expansion. Now, there's only a handful of words. In fact, we're only going to do 6 of them. But to do that, we're going to build a little graphic organizer. So we're going to start with a blank piece of paper. And oh, by the way, if I stammer a little bit, if I get thrown off my balance or my game, I'm at home. My dog could be barking. He might want in. Hey, you know what? A guy's got to take care of his dog. So if I get a little flustered because he's driving me crazy, cut me some slack, okay? In the meantime, we're going to talk about this blank piece of paper, and we're going to start by folding this paper in half, just like a hamburger, like you're closing a book. Give yourself a nice little crease on it, just like that. Then we're going to go up here. See where my thumb is, just about the distance of my thumb. I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it over. Doesn't be perfect, but just give me a little bit of space right there. Okay. So I got two folds. I got this one, looks like a hamburger. And I got this fold here. Now you may think this is silly, but it's going to pay off in a few minutes. So just work with me a little bit. And then this is the tricky part. I'm going to try to fold this in thirds. There's no perfect way to do this, but you can kind of look at it and kind of do one of these and kind of make some adjustments. See how I kind of just put it over in like in a circle almost? And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to push this down, and it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay that I'm doing this. Oh, by the way, did I mention I have a cat too? She is blind. She's got a tumor. She may have cancer. I don't know. She's wobbling around here blind as a bat, but she might jump on this table, ask for some treats, and potentially even stick her rear end in this camera because she just likes to show her tail now and then. So if she does that, cut me some slack. But hey, let's get back. I digress. Oh, there's the cat. This is Levon. Do you see? Hi, Levon. Say hi, Levon, to the cat. The camera, Levon. You see her feet? Yep, she's coming through. She's coming through to say hi. Okay, she wants her treat. Okay, Levon, hang on. She can't see him. She has to sniff around. Cat, you are ruining this video. Cat, here, take this right here. I got a pat on the table so she knows because she's blind, just to go off her hearing. Okay. Here, eat this one here too. Right there, cat. Right there. Now you can see her face a little bit. Right here, right here, right here. You gotta take care of your animals right there. Take that one. Right here, dummy. Come on. Right there. Cat. Okay. So much for that. Okay, let's go back to the video. Let's see, comes back. She wants to drink a Diet Coke. Hang on, she's come back in. Drink. Okay, we're going to try to get this going. So we're going to open up this bad boy and look at this. Look at all these different things I have here. Hey, I would start this video over, but this is just too entertaining. I got to keep the cat on the camera. Right here, cat. Right there. Hang on. Right there. Right there. Okay. So now I'm going to take my Sharpie. Are you going to help me? There she goes. What do we do? How do we solve this problem? I hate doing it because she's almost dead. Okay, cat. That's nice. Thank you very much. We're going to put you down on the floor now. Okay, great diversion. All right. Oh, I got some cat slobber. I'll wipe that up. Okay, so here we're going to do this. We're going to take this and we're going to draw a line all the way across, right on that really short line. It's not perfect. I don't care. I'm all flustered because I'm trying to make up some lost time for my cat getting in the way. And I'm going to take this. I'm going to go right down the middle. And I'm going to go across here. I'm going to go right here. Now, you may not have needed to fold your paper up to do this, but some people do. And it just makes it a little more organized and more even and more equal. If you look closely, this is what my abs look like. That's a complete lie. I have one giant ab, and it's all from Diet Coke and probably pizza. Okay, let's get back to our topic here. We're going to use this Westward Expansion We got to label this so we know exactly what part of the notes he's going to. Westward Expansion vocabulary. And once again, we don't have a ton of vocabulary here, but what we do, we're going to do well. So I'm going to go ahead and write the words first, and then we'll come back and add a little picture and definitions. These are some of the shortest definitions you will ever deal with, okay? The first word we're going to add is annex. I'm going to put down here the word annexation, because those two words are connected, because this is just an extension of this one, okay? I'm going to write the word acquire. A-C-Q-U-I-R-E. Like an acquisition, or to acquire something. If you acquire something, that means you get it. An acquisition is something that you got. So if you bought a house, that would be an acquisition. Okay, here's another word. Now, when you cede something, you give it up, or a cession is something that was given up. You use an S instead of a C, it's a whole different word. That'd be like a session, like a section of learning or something. Like if I go to a breakout session at a conference, that means I'm going to a small, different type of learning component of a bigger component. It's just a different group. If you go to a session, it's just different than this kind of session, okay? I'm going to add the word frontier. And by the way, the cat went all the way into the other room, so we are safe for a while. I'm going to add expedition. I'm going to add one more word. I'm going to add the word genocide. Now, if you need to stop this video to catch these words up, you can do that. Do whatever you got to do. But I am putting these out here so you can get a good look at them. And as you're getting that look, I'm going to add some kapow boxes, because I want these to pop off your page. I want you to recognize them. I want you to remember that these are incredibly important terms as we're talking about Westward Expansion and the rest of the unit. And if you didn't know what color I was going to color these things, I'm going to break the news to you right now. It's going to be yellow. I use these specific kapow boxes, if you remember, when it comes to vocab words, when I want them to pop off the page, like kapow. We're using this particular type of shape. And the yellow, just like a stoplight, is a reference for you to slow down and take a closer look. I'm not spending a lot of time coloring these, but I am going to get that color in there so you know. Now, if for some reason you do not have yellow, you know, an orange might be a good compromise. But just be consistent. If you're going to do orange, always do orange. If you're going to do yellow, always do yellow. Use it for your vocab words. And I don't want you to use red. I want you to save red. I want you to save green, because those have other purposes, okay? So here's our basic stuff here. And when we talk about an annexation, we're talking about adding something. It's that simple. If you annex something, you're adding it. So when the United States annexed California and New Mexico and Arizona and Nevada, that means they added that to the United States. Sometimes you'll have buildings and businesses that will annex an area, or maybe you have a city who's growing their boundaries and they will annex nearby countryside and make that part of the city. They're adding it. It's a real simple concept. And I'm going to use just an addition sign, this little picture, and I'm going to add green to it because green typically means growth. In terms of westward expansion, when we annex things, it means we're growing. Now, sometimes that growth is to the detriment of the people already living in that space, and more than likely, they're losing something while we're gaining it. And we talk about adding something. That takes us to this word, acquire. This means adding something or to get. And I'm going to use another thing here. I'm going to use something very similar to what I did before. I'm going to add a dollar sign. Now, just because you get something doesn't mean that you paid for it. You can steal things. You can acquire things however you want to acquire them. Doesn't make it right, but definitely there are lots of different ways to acquire things. But oftentimes when we acquire stuff, we're doing it because we're buying it. If I buy a car, I'm acquiring that car. If I'm buying land, I'm acquiring it. It's possible that I go to war and I just take the land. It's possible I go to a gas station and I shoplift. I'm still acquiring things. I'm getting it. I'm adding something to my pockets, whatever it is. But to acquire means to get. And if you want to do it legally, typically there's going to be exchange of money. So that's why we use that word. Cession, that's a really easy term. To give up. Or something you give up. So the Mexican cession is a chunk of land that Mexico gave up. They gave it to the United States. Now the United States paid for it. We acquired it and we annexed it, but somebody had to give it up. And I'm just going to use a subtraction sign for that. And guess what color I'm going to use to help me remember that one? I'm going back to the old trusty red because a lot of times when people seed something, I'm going to write this word seed, they give it up. Or if you concede, you accept that you lost. We do these things with the understanding that we're probably losing something in the process. And that's basically what a cession is. Okay, let's get to frontier. And you're really lucky because we have really, really short definitions so far. It's going to get a little longer, but not very much, okay? Let's go to frontier. And frontier is nothing more than unsettled land. To be honest with you, it could actually be other things than besides land. You know, when I think of unsettled land, most of the land in the United States has been settled by now. But originally, when we were trying to move from one coast to the other, there was so much territory that was considered frontier because there weren't formal civilizations there, at least by the standards of the people who were moving into the territory. Now we talk about frontier. A lot of times we're thinking about something that's not even on Earth. It might be something that is off Earth. And so I think of a spaceship traveling to what some people would call the final frontier. Space. It's an unexplored area that we don't know a lot about and that we want to learn something about. I'm just using red and orange because I can. Pretty colors, pretty colors. Now you notice I'm leaving lots of room in these. If you want to add extra information, you come across examples you can tie into that. These spaces are really for that, okay? Let's talk about expedition. Only got 2 words left, and you guys are doing great. What's an expedition? We're going to call it a journey of learning. And, I'm also going to put in this here. A lot of times expeditions are designed to be scientific study. They're going out to explore something, to learn something about it, and bring that information back. When I think of science, I'm thinking of stuff like this, like a beaker full of something, like some scientist might have in their laboratory. And saying that, I know there's lots of different ways I can describe this, but I'm just thinking of a science lab is what I'm thinking of. Okay, so an expedition. Now, eventually, if you haven't done it already, a great example of this would be the Lewis and Clark expedition. When I think of expeditions, I'm going to use my little think aloud cloud. When I think of expeditions, it's really hard for me not to think about Lewis and Clark because they had such a monumental impact on exploration as it moved westward with their work studying and learning about the different tribes and the different plant life and different animals, the different passageways along the Missouri River all the way to the Pacific Ocean. So I think of Lewis and Clark. Now, the last vocab word we're going to put up here, and there's tons of other vocab words. These are just the ones we're focusing on. This is the last one that I'm going to mention. And because, tell you once, I'll tell you 1,000 times, I'm a patriot. And I always want to look at my country from the best light possible, but I also have to be honest about my country. And there are some things that have happened in our history that are not good things. And if you look at the way we treated the Native Americans in many instances, there's a term called genocide that we could really describe as being what happened. This is the intentional, which means you meant to do it, not an accident. Intentional killing of a group of people. Now, once again, I'm a patriot, and I don't like looking at my country in a negative light, and I really do believe the great things that came with our country are things that are still exist today and have grown even stronger over time. But I'll tell you, there are dark moments in our past, and the treatment of the American Indians is one of those dark moments. And I'm going to draw a picture of somebody that might remind you of genocide. Who am I drawing? I'm drawing Adolf Hitler. And Adolf Hitler had nothing to do with American Westward Expansion, but I'll be honest with you, some of the ideas and some of the solutions that Hitler came up with in terms of dealing with the Jewish problem they had in Europe, according to Hitler, he was inspired by the way we treated the Native Americans. And of course, they took it to a whole new level, and there were many more people involved than were with the American example. But it doesn't take away from the negativity, the dark side of American history, which is the forced removal of Native Americans. and we talk about the forced removal, we really can talk about something called the Trail of Tears, which one is the most famous examples of American treatment of indigenous people who lived here in the United States before we got here. And I don't know of a good way to do that or draw that, but I can maybe draw, well, let's do this. Let's just draw a big tear. And I'm going to write Trail of Tears. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw an eyeball. This is somebody crying. It's a big, giant tear coming out of that person's eye, right? Can you see that? Why are they crying? Because they're dying.